This video is sponsored by Surfshark. So I've never been an avid reader, but I ran across this quote one day, and it was something along the lines of, the average CEO reads about 60 books a year. Yeah, that's a lot of books. But you know what? It actually motivated me to want to read more. Because when I had spare time, I was wasting it doing a lot of unproductive things like watching Netflix or scrolling through my phone. So I made it one of my personal goals this year to read more. Long story short, it was a bit of a struggle. I bought books, left them beside my bed, but for some reason, I could never get into a reading routine. Growing up, my brother had an e-reader that he loved and would always carry around. I never got the appeal. I always thought I would rather read a physical book, and if I was going to read off a screen, I might as well use my phone or tablet, which offers way more functionality. It's crazy because I always thought I was a physical book type of person. I guess I didn't really know myself because it turns out an e-reader suits my lifestyle so much more. I think the biggest difference is the convenience. As much as I love the idea of holding and reading physical books, it always felt a little cumbersome and slightly uncomfortable. Not to mention, carrying books around is no fun. I find an e-reader to be so much easier to handle. They're lighter, easier to grip, and the process of flipping pages is as simple as a single tap. Because the experience is more pleasant, I just find myself reading way more often. A common response I get when I try to recommend a book to a friend or family member is always, "Oh, I'm too busy. I don't have time to read." I'm not gonna lie, I've used that response plenty of times myself. But let's be real. There are so many moments throughout the day when I'm trying to pass time or distract myself, and the first thing I do is whip out my phone. Even when waiting at the doctor's office, I'll usually grab whatever magazine they have lying around, and 90% of the time, it's not even something I'm interested in. These days, when those moments come up, I'll usually pull out my e-reader, which fits perfectly in my bag, and read something that I'm actually interested in. I'm also a little shy about reading in public because I don't really want people to know what I'm reading. That's a problem if I'm reading a physical book while I'm out. Or maybe some of you like to read hot, steamy romance novels and want to keep it on the down low, you know? Well, an e-reader is way more discreet and solves that problem. I know I'm a little late, but the biggest thing for me is when I discovered I could borrow ebooks from my local library through an app called Overdrive. You're telling me I have access to millions of books that I could have in my hands almost immediately without leaving the house or spending a single dollar? Yes, please. For someone who likes to learn, that's like discovering a gold mine. Obviously, some of the more popular books, you'll need to place a hold on until it's available. But if you're patient, you won't have to spend a single dime on your ebooks. Now, if you don't want or can't afford to buy ebooks, you should definitely check out the Overdrive app. I've always been on the fence about spending a lot of money on books because, you know, they might not be good. So being able to borrow ebooks is something I love. And if I end up loving an ebook, I'll of course go ahead and buy it as well. Outside of that, there are a few other benefits of an e-reader that I personally appreciate. First thing, way less clutter. I own a good amount of books, and although I like owning them, they do take up a lot of space versus something like this. Having a built-in dictionary is another bonus. If there's a word I don't understand, I could easily look up the definition with a few taps. If I was reading a physical book, I'd probably ignore the word and go on, never truly knowing what that word means, which is kind of sad actually. Or maybe you don't like the font or size of the text in the book you're reading. Well, with an e-reader, you can actually change it to something a little more comfortable for your eyes. Speaking of your eyes, reading at night and early in the morning is something I found myself doing way more often with the e-reader. This one I've been using has a front light, so I can read without needing to turn on a lamp. Like a lot of people, I always thought, what's the point of an e-reader if I already own a tablet that can do pretty much everything an e-reader can do, plus way more. Of course, if I had to choose between the two, yeah, I'd probably go with the tablet for its capabilities. But ideally, I'd want both. I really like having a dedicated e-reader for reading books. It's just a better experience to me. I don't know about you, but when I stare at a tablet screen for too long, my eyes will start to hurt and I'll get headaches. Even though there's a blue light filter and dark mode on most tablets these days, if I use it at night to read, I'll struggle to go to sleep afterwards. Since using this, I haven't had that problem thanks to the e-ink display. I've been reading almost every single night for the past few months, and it hasn't messed with my sleep at all. I used to suffer from insomnia, so thank goodness. E-ink is also less reflective and more visible when outdoors. So if you're carrying it around with you or just like reading on sunny days in your backyard, this works better. The battery life is something else to think about. Typically, tablets will have a few days worth of battery life, whereas an e-reader can go for weeks, if not months per charge. I also know myself, and I'm a notorious procrastinator. There's just way too many distractions and apps on my tablet that if I try to read on it, I'll probably end up doing something else. Real quick though, I gotta give a huge shout out to today's video sponsor, Surfshark, who make videos like this possible. So what exactly is Surfshark? Well, it's a virtual private network, or VPN, that encrypts all your data before it goes over the internet. This way, random people you don't want seeing where you are and what you're doing online won't have access to it. Ever tried watching a show that's not in your region? Well, being Canadian, I know this all too well. We just don't get that much variety as some other countries. With one click, I can unlock content from anywhere, including the US, UK, even Japan. Throw in no device limit, a 30-day money-back guarantee, and you've got one of the best VPN deals out. Check out Surfshark now by clicking the link below and using my promo code Thao. You'll get 83% off and 3 months completely free. If you already own an e-reader, you're probably sitting there like, what took you so long? I also know that for some, it'll never beat the experience of holding and reading an actual book. But hey, that's fine. Do what works for you. Now, if you're trying to build a habit of reading more, but have fallen off or struggled to make it stick, like me, you should try an e-reader. Believe me, I was just as skeptical too, but honestly, it's now one of my favorite things, period. It's made reading much more enjoyable, but more importantly, it's helped me build a regular reading habit. Having a dedicated device just for reading really allows me to focus more on actually reading and nothing else. Borrowing ebooks from my local library is also a game changer for me. Even if you're not sold on the idea of an e-reader, you should check out the Overdrive app on your phone or tablet. So the average CEO reads about 60 books a year. That means I've got like 49 left to go. Wish me luck.